Hello, this is bronwynlund from BronHolm Tours, and today we're going to be walking through Copenhagen, so it's a bit of a different tour today, and with us is my husband, Tony Lund, and he's going to be walking along with us as we take you on a tour through the city. So we're going to start here in the main town hall square. Then we're going to walk through 3 more squares and finish up in a place called Kongens Nytorv, or the King's New Square, and explain a little bit about the history as we go along. So we hope you enjoy the tour. So here we have the Copenhagen town hall, and this whole square was originally the Haymarket of the town, and also the westernmost point of the city. So behind us would have been the gate into the city and defence ramparts all the way around. And then at the end of the 1800s, the Haymarket was actually moved out of the city because the defence ramparts weren't required anymore. And then it was decided to make this open space into the town hall square. So this is the youngest of the squares that we'll be visiting today. And the building of the town hall started in 1884, but it wasn't actually finished until 1905. So, and then this square has been designed and redesigned sort of over the last 100 years. And over to the left is the final building of a metro station. So this square will be on the metro line in another couple of years. So that's great for the citizens of the city.
Lovely sausage.
Yep, and over to the left, over to the right is a sausage wagon we just went past, or a pulsevogn.
Big hit on the way home from town.
Yeah, exactly. So we're actually heading out of the town hall square now, and down towards the next square, and we're walking down the walking street, which is called, and I'm going to pronounce it in very bad Danish here, Strøget. Maybe I'll get Tony to pronounce it because he's actually Danish.
Strøget.
Strøget.
You did it fine.
Oh, thank you. So we're actually filming very early in the morning, and that's basically to avoid the crowds, because later on today and every day this walking street gets very, very busy. But it's not as quiet as I thought it would be, because of course it's a really great place to come out and party. And I think both of us have had that experience, haven't we?
Yeah, the disco's closed at 5 and people are still going home. It's now 6:10.
Yeah, exactly. So most of these people have been out all night and had a good time, so that's fun. We might have some people photo bombing the film, but that'd be good as well. Ooh.
Someone had a bit too much fun.
Yeah.
But there's some really lots of places to dine here as well.
Yes, it's obviously very different from Bornholm. Tall buildings and a lot of people around. Not so much nature.
You can hear the seagulls though. So.
Yeah. That's right.
Lots of nights where I had a shawarma on my way home from town. We're close right now though.
Yeah, I will have to have one a bit later for breakfast. So now we're coming to the next square in the chain, I guess, of squares that exist along this walk. And this square was actually has existed since medieval times, and it's the oldest square in Denmark. Off to the left, just down the street there, is the cathedral, and this side of the square, it's actually two squares that have been joined together in history. So this side of the square where we're walking now is actually called Gammeltorv, and this is the oldest square in the city. It's existed for about 1,000 years, and it's where the meat market was set up here. The meat and cattle and all the meats that came in from the farms was sold here. And over on the other side of the square, we have what is called Nytorv, which has also actually existed for hundreds of years. Nytorv means new market or new square in Danish, and so it's new compared to the old square, but it's still very old, if that makes sense. And this building over here was the original town hall before the other town hall that we just saw had been built. And it now serves as law courts. So this is the legal area of the city.
It's
And what does
Østre Landsret. The
Right.
eastern
court?
court of the
High
country.
court?
Not
a high court?
I'm unsure where the high court is. They might have the high court in there. I'm unsure, but it's
Yeah.
definitely it's called Østre Landsret.
Okay.
So yeah.
And what does the sentence up there say on the
Says
building?
with law, you build land.
Right. And-
Country. Land and country is basically the same word.
okay, so you build the country with the law.
Yeah.
That's very philosophical.
By law.
By law.
Yeah.
Can you read it in Danish?
Med lov skal man land bygge.
That sounds very wise, doesn't it?
And just down the street there's that board games cafe.
Oh yes. Have to put in a little bit of a plug for the Board Games
Yeah.
Cafe.
It's really good because there's about every day there's about 200 people coming in there just to play board games.
Wow. Yeah, it's a pretty busy place.
And over here we have the Victoria pub. Very
Yes.
very cozy, nice pub.
I don't think I've been there.
Recommend.
And just in front of us is a fountain, and this is actually a fountain of fertility, and it was built for the king and queen of the time, their silver wedding anniversary. So when it's the Queen's birthday, they actually float 5 golden apples in the fountain and let them sort of leap up and down with the water. So that's a little bit about the history of Gammeltorv and Nytorv. And so this is the main street, would have been the main street going through the city and joining up the markets. So on market day you'd go to each market depending on what produce you wanted. Down here to the left is a cake shop called La Glace. And there you can...
I think it's
Very
been
dangerous.
there since 1850 or something like that.
Yeah, you can actually do a tour.
Yeah.
They'll actually, you can book a tour and see how they make all the beautiful, absolutely beautiful cakes.
And they have hot chocolate at Liberton if you want to buy that.
Oh yes, the hot chocolate is
And
just
they have
divine.
so many layer cakes. It's amazing. We've been there quite a few times.
Yeah, we have. We've enjoyed cakes and chocolate, as you can see from our shapes. So up ahead,
That's a nice view.
yeah, up ahead we can actually see the spire of St Nicholas Church, or St Nikolai Kirke. Is that a good pronunciation?
Yes. Excellent.
And that's actually not the original church. The original church was burnt down, and apparently, I was just reading in Wikipedia, apparently the fire started in a storeroom, and they couldn't find the key to unlock the door to put out the fire. And it took them a little while to think maybe we should just kick the door down. So then they kicked the door down, but by then it was too late. And the church burnt to the ground. So this is a second edition of that church.
What's this church called?
Yeah,
again?
I don't know the history of this church
But
actually.
it quite often has a book cafe in there. actually,
Yeah,
where they
that's
can buy
right.
old books and stuff.
But it's another lovely church of the city. And so now we're coming into what is my favourite square of the city, and it's called Amagertorv. And the reason why it's called Amagertorv is because the fruit and vegetable growers who lived out on the island of Ammer would bring their produce in to be sold here at the markets. And it was also a fish market as well. The other thing about this lovely square is that it's a crossroads, so we will continue forward out towards Kongens Nytorv, or the King's New Square, which will be the last square that we visit on this walk. But transecting across this square is another street and another square, and the street's called Copenhagen, and it's actually, or purchasing street, I suppose Copenhagen translates to, doesn't it? And that street, which you can just see going off to the left outside the Prada store there, that goes all the way to what was the northern gate of the city. And next time we come to Copenhagen, I think I might make that a subject of another walk, because you can walk all the way from the canal, which is to our right. You can see the square opens out here to our right, and we've got the Parliament building, and also you can see the back of the statue of Bishop Absalom, and he was the guy who started it all. He was a warrior bishop. And at Christmas time there's actually Christmas markets here in it. It's really lovely.
I found out what the church was called. It's Helligåndskirken.
Helligåndskirken, and what does that mean?
Holy Spirit, I think.
The Church of the Holy Spirit. Yeah, I don't know the history of that church actually. I might have to Google it later. Now this is the Stork Fountain. And I've just been doing a bit of reading around this fountain, and apparently, because I always thought that they were actually herons, the birds, but they're not. Because actually the Ornithological Society of Copenhagen came down and they assessed the birds and they declared them storks. So they are actually storks, not herons. And up until about 1960, or since 1960, I can't exactly remember the story, but it's traditional for the newly educated midwives to dance around the Stork Fountain when they graduate. Isn't that nice? And the other thing is that apparently in the olden days, the midwives used to gather here, probably about this time of the morning, to gossip and discuss the births that they'd been attending in the night, and who had been born, and who had, you know, how it had gone, and who had a son who would inherit all their wealth and all that sort of stuff. So it's interesting historical stories around that fountain. It's been a gathering place for hundreds of years.
Now we're nearing the posher end of the walking street.
That's right. So we've come from the kind of, lower end, sort of towards
the train station is the lower end.
Yeah, that's right. So the central train station is just on the other side of the town hall square where we started the walk, and as we walk along this walking street, the shops start to get
King's New Square towards actually the palace.
Yeah, as we start walking towards the palace, that's right. We start to get, the more upmarket brands coming up. So this is the posh end of the walking street.
In the Danish version of Monopoly, the two highest, the most expensive building places are the Rådhuspladsen and the King's New Square.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful morning with this
it
blue
is,
sky,
isn't it? It's really lovely.
Few clouds
We've also got the two main department stores in this area as well, haven't we?
Yeah,
We've got Magazine, which is over there to our right.
And behind us, we just passed Ilum.
Yeah, Ilum's a big one. I should have pointed that out actually. But anyway, I can point it out in the closed captions. It's my secret weapon.
This is what I'm going to point out later.
Yeah, exactly. Editor's note. But I just find this building up here on the left-hand corner really interesting. It's like a Soviet post-modern design with strange creatures. Snake and a lizard and then a...
Yeah, it's funny because without this lizard and stuff, it would look really Soviet and boring, and but with that it just gives you a little bit of spark.
Yeah, but it makes you wonder, what were these designers thinking as they were building these places? Those guys have had a good night out, haven't they?
This has probably been down to Hong Kong. There's a bar down here that never closes. Hong Kong. So when you've been to town and finished the discos close at 5, you go down to Hong Kong and continue.
If you've got the stomach for it.
Yes. I think once I finished at 11 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. That's a beautiful sight, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is the biggest square of all. It's Kongens Nytorv, or the King's New Square, and it was actually built by Christian IV. And the reason why he built this square is because apparently the market at Amagertorv and the market on Gammeltorv was just mud and sludge, and they weren't very nice markets to visit. And he wanted to create a whole new square that is very gracious and really inspired by the open squares of other parts of Europe. And over to the right is the National Theatre, And then there's music universities, and then right over the other side where the blue and yellow buildings start is Nyhavn. So we might actually just walk across and finish the tour over there on Nyhavn, because it's quite a sight. Yeah. We have to sort of walk around the building area because the metro, they're still building the metro, but this will be a really lovely
the hotel right behind us is the Hotel Gamle, and in winter or around Christmas they are really doing a magnificent what do you call it, design?
Yeah, the Advent calendar.
Yeah.
They do the Advent calendar, and it's pretty cool. So all of these areas around here, all of these buildings around here are banking and hotels and a few really nice restaurants actually. And the French embassy is over there on the right hand side. We'll go past there when we turn. And then the history behind Nyhavn is that Christian IV wanted Copenhagen to be a financial hotspot, if you like Amsterdam. So he was very inspired by what was going on with the Dutch at the time, because obviously the Dutch were out there conquering the world and doing a lot of colonisation and all that sort of stuff, and his dream was to also have that for Denmark. So he turned this part of the city into a canal, and it's actually really lovely. You can take canal tours from here, and I really recommend that if you come to Copenhagen, because it gives you a completely different perspective of the city. And then he turned on the other side of the canal is the area of Christianshavn, or Christian's Harbour, which he so humbly named after himself. And he's made that whole area into canals. So it's very reminiscent of Amsterdam. In the at Christmas time, there's Christmas markets all the way down the canal as well. And the anchor is very reminiscent of the fact that Copenhagen has always been a seafaring naval port as well, very heavily reliant on its sea trade.
It's made from memory of the Danish sailors.
Yep, an important occupational group for the economy. All right, well I think we'll end the tour here. So that was just a walk from Copenhagen's Town Hall Square through a couple of medieval market areas out to Kongens Nytorv and Nyhavn. So we hope you enjoyed the tour. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
"20 seconds is a long time, isn't it?" When you're waiting for it to happen.